How are you guys doing? Do you need extra time or good?
I need a minute more.
That's cool. Max, how are you doing? Can't hear you.
I'm done.
Yeah, okay. So Ramiz, an extra minute. Yeah, I'll be right back. All right, we good? All right. You're muted, Ramiz, just to let you know. All right, cool. In that case, yeah, let's start the discussion on this text, or on these two texts. I'm really curious what you guys thought. Obviously, they're different, so they come from much more conservative outlets, and they paint quite a different picture of what are the causes and what are the potential solutions for the mental health issues that men are facing. And I think they're like, I selected them specifically because I think that they're in quite a contrast to what the others were saying. And I'm really curious what you think of this contrast and how they paint this picture. Yeah, Max?
Yeah, so I enjoyed them more than the other texts, as you may have expected. So regarding the spectator texts focused on argon, I agree 90%. So I think the scope on this text is the needs of the boys, and also taking into consideration biological factors, which are mostly underestimated in the discourse. And yeah, I think that aggression and risk-taking and more of these traits that are influenced by biology, let's call it that way. Of course, there's nature and nurture, and we can never tell exactly how much nature nurture is the root cause of a given trait, but there is a considerable biological factor in these traits, aggression, risk-taking, and competition, all these things. And the question is, how can we channel these biological dispositions in a way that's healthy both for the boys and for society? And I think it's a very good point here that we need argon. We need a new version of argon that is modern and in line with our world today. And then the other article, yeah, I think I can't really add anything to that. I think that classical masculine virtues are protection, provision, and pioneering. So the 3P model of masculinity, and society still needs these three P's of masculinity, but it's kind of hidden. Yeah, it's kind of it's not obvious anymore as it was 100 or 200 years ago. And I think it's very hard for men to detect where and how the three P's are necessary and how they can provide them to society.
Ramesh, do you have any thoughts?
I have quite a very opposing experience reading these articles because, like I told you, my leaning, as I covered, is more liberal. I don't know. The first article was very, I don't know. I found it very, I don't know. It almost says that we have violence ingrained in us. I mean, I can see the logic in that, but at the same time, I'm not really sure. It almost seems like it's biologically deterministic or something like that. I would not say that. Here he's saying what incels seek because of biology is conflict. Is it? Are we seeking conflict? Maybe it's a sense of purpose we need, maybe in a more generalized sense. I agree with some things that Max is saying, like protection, provision, pioneering. These can be driving factors to achieve a goal. If that is masculine, maybe there is some sense in that, but I don't know if it feels very, very black and white the way it's worded. It's like, oh, males want conflict. Like, really, I don't know. I don't really want conflict, but I don't know if that's because of my upbringing or something. Because I also have my own life experience, so maybe I'm conflict avoidant. I don't know. The second one was a little bit more. I agreed with a lot of the things, like for example, let me see over here. There were a lot of terms over here. Male. He just fails to understand women, emotional repression, feminized ideas of male friendship. I relate to that quite a bit. Like it feels like the healing or like the things we need to do in this framework, the world we live in right now is more like a feminized ideal. I do feel that sometimes, like I feel like it's a little more of a performance rather than an authentic thing. So the second one was more. I related to it more, I would say.
Interesting. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm quite curious about the fact that, like, the claim in here is that men have mental health problems as a result of kind of either not being true to themselves, as in what men really are somehow, right? The society is forcing men to not be like this, or kind of lacking purpose. And I like what you said, Ramiz, in terms of, like, I don't like texts or people who assume that all men are the same. Like, all men are not the same. Like, if you have a group of 5 of anyone, there's probably 6 different opinions and characters in that and stuff like that, right? People differ, and that's fine. And I think that I would be suspicious of anyone saying that any group is uniform, because life is more complicated than that, as Max was saying as well. Now, I do agree that there is like we probably do need something that is more allowing people to constructively utilize the instincts that they have, be it for violence or for agonistic competition or other things like this. And, there's a reason why the ancient Greeks came up with the sports of the Olympics, right? So that people don't fight wars all the time and maybe use some of this energy on just competing in a different way. That's obviously simplifying things again, but finding some good channeling for our various instincts is a really important thing. And I think there could be an argument made that just telling people to suppress those instincts rather than finding a good channeling for them is a cause of problems and potentially of mental health problems as well. Now, I think that what is really important in there is specifically this finding a good way to do this. And I'm not sure if I agree with how those articles, I don't think they pay enough attention to this. They just go like, oh yeah, let just men be men, or like let them, have these kind of things. And you go like, well, sure, but like we need to be careful about what it is and how we let people, tap into those instincts, be it instincts for more agonistic things or competition or whatever else, because, well, they might misuse it, right? They might use it for very bad purposes. And you can go like, oh yeah, the reason why we have a mental health problem is because people feel a lack of purpose or a lack of ability to express themselves. And you go like, yeah, but if somebody's purpose is, killing kittens, and they would feel really happy and not mentally ill if they only could kill kittens, then you wouldn't go like, oh yeah, great, let's just let you do this, right? Like, no, the point is to find like a good outlet for, and I'm obviously using a caricature example, but there's plenty of situations in which many men find purpose in war, right? And you go like, well, that's great, and maybe you would be more mentally healthy then, but I still don't want to have a war, So, and there's so many ways in which humanity has, channeled those natural instincts in very bad ways. And I think in a way, history of civilization is kind of a history of us trying to conquer our basic nature. We have a base nature that led people to enslave other people, and things like this, or colonize and do other stuff like that. And you go like, well, maybe we actually don't want this, even if it is more true to our like animal nature or whatever else, like we still don't want to do that. We actually want to transcend our animal nature. So like I'm all for making sure that people are not like constipated with all of the instincts that they have, but like we can't just let them just, do whatever, right? So, yeah, anyway, sorry, I went on a bit of a rant. Go on, Max.
So it's interesting that you understood this Spectator, was it, article in such a way that it was like let man just be man, and however they want to express it. I don't think that author meant it that way. I think he meant it in a way that we need argon, so we need to cultivate these traits that are in man on average. I think that's very important when we talk about traits that are more common in men than in women. We always are talking about averages. Yep. Right? And it's impossible to say that you, Ramesh, or you, Simon, are aggressive or not aggressive just because you're a man. No. We can do biological measurements, we can measure your testosterone levels, but still we won't be able to 100% precisely assess your aggression, right? And because our brains are more complex than that. But still, because of the average biology of boys, they tend to be more aggressive on average, right? And politics and laws and education systems need to take that into consideration. And maybe, like, for example, did you both see Adolescence?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay, yeah. It's about a young boy who's an incel, and then he turns really mad and kills a girl that neglected him, or that it rejected him. Sorry, that rejected him for date. There's one scene that really makes me angry. It's like the father and the mother of the boy are in a bedroom, and they talk about what they possibly did wrong. So there's this murder happened, and the father says, "Yeah, I went with him to boxing, but that didn't help, obviously." And the message that I don't like there is that boxing is not a healthy way to channel male aggression? Because I think it is. I think that many murders in the world can be prevented if we encourage men and boys to do martial arts. Because the first lesson you learn in martial arts is respect. It's respecting your own limits and the limits of the other person, and that there are rules. And one rule is that you don't just kill another person. It can happen, like if you are being attacked with 3 people with a knife and you defend yourself, and I don't know, it can be that somebody dies, but you try to prevent that in the most motivated way possible, right? And that's matter of ethics and moral, and that's why it's also called martial arts. Yeah, it's not like a method of killing people; it's arts. Yeah, it's really philosophy, and I think that made me really angry, because I think that what schools need is martial arts therapy for boys with male instructors who hold a positive, realistic model of masculinity. I think that's what we need, and adolescence really was not a part of the solution, but a part of the problem.
I just want to add here. Okay, what I'm realizing is that the disagreement might have been a matter of wording. I do agree with the concept of channeling. You have repressed emotion, or you have some aggression. This I do agree. I haven't seen Adolescence, but I also would agree with you, Max, when you said that boxing is a good way to channel aggression or something, because I see it that way as well. I just want to add that.
Yeah, I think I would also agree with this. I think there are many ways to do that, and insofar as it is like you say, Max, that it's a respectful sport in which it's based in this kind of like rules and respect. Great, as long as it's consenting adults doing stuff, then fine. I think that this is the key that I was missing from this article, which is that it was saying like, we need ways in which we can express these sort of feelings, but I feel like I'm not sure that we are actually giving people these sort of ways, or that this article was particularly good at pointing at them. So like, I think that, we need ways in which men are doing that, but I don't think that our society has proposed good ways, and I don't think either of the sides has really proposed good ways. But I think there's a really interesting other claim in there as well, which is about this kind of like, some of those instincts needing to be channeled somehow, but also about having a purpose. And the whole, like, there's one of the claims was that society kind of has no use for men as men anymore. And this is what is the source of people not having a purpose. And I think that this is, very often misattributed, and it's kind of blamed on social progress, while I personally think that is largely due to technological and economic progress. And it's largely due to the fact that we live in an economic system in which we don't need people with muscle because machines have taken over those jobs. We don't need people with high endurance because machines have taken this job. What we need is people with good service skills or things like that. And then, and so the jobs that were kind of traditionally masculine jobs have disappeared. And that has been a massive change and removal of purpose for men. And I worry that right now we are working really hard to reduce the sense of purpose even more, because we're creating even smarter machines that are going to replace most of us at work any minute now. And this is kind of like, we're actually worsening this crisis. We are worsening the crisis in which people don't have purpose, they don't have meaning, and they don't know why they're getting out of bed in the morning. And this means that they end up having mental health issues as well, because, well, they don't know what they're for. And I think this is a pretty great reason to fall into depression. And I think this has very little to do with cultural issues. It has much more to do with economic and kind of technological issues. And I'm curious what you think about that. Max, yeah?
Yeah, so I totally agree with you that the economical, technological revolutions of the past 3 centuries made it really harder to form like a purpose of life and like a, what is the word? I just had a translation, a life plan. Yeah, a life plan that you build up in your teenage years and that you like follow until your old age, right? Because of all these disruptions getting faster every time. And so I think that we need in society we need much more philosophical discussions about what humanity actually is and what the sense of life is, or how you can build a sense of life, because I think we agree that there's no like objective sense of life. And so I think that there's something that AI doesn't have and won't ever have. And this is 2 things. It's what is the word? Sorry, I have to look that up. It's dignity and it's honor. So I think AI can never have dignity and honor. So why do I say that? AI can't really sense, yeah, and it's not mortal. Humans are sensitive and are mortal, and thus we have dignity. And we can be fearful, and we can overcome our fear for doing the right thing, and thus be brave. And AI can't be brave. And with braveness comes honor. So honor and dignity are the main cores of humanity. And I think we have to talk more about these 2 things. Because if we forget that, we get completely lost. Because we think, okay, so why should I even study, or why should I even go to school when AI will be better at this in 2 years, or even maybe is today, like graphic designer. Like AI is today better than most graphic designers, right? Yeah, but AI doesn't have dignity and braveness, and maybe we need 2 completely different jobs, like psychotherapists, like I don't know. These are incredible disruptions, but I think if we don't focus on these 2 pillars of humanity, we will be completely lost.
Yeah, I think that the discussion on what is even worth doing anymore, is a completely, it's a big discussion as well. Yeah, interesting take. All right, Narmis, do you have anything?
I just think it's interesting that you brought up dignity and honor, Max, in comparison to AI. It just piqued my interest. But apart from that, I don't know if I can really contribute to this, because based on what I've experienced in my life, I have a profound sense of that I don't have a purpose, a clear purpose. I'm just doing something that I was told to. I don't know if it's because I'm a man, or I was brought up in a certain feminist society or something. I was brought up in India, and there, my experience was completely different. I don't know if I can contribute something over here based on that. But my experience.
It would be really interesting to compare actually the cultures as well. I think it's really important that we don't just say oh, this is, confined to European context and otherwise other places don't matter. I think it's vitally important that we listen to other places as well. So if you have anything that is more from Indian context, that would be great.
So for me, for many Indians, the thing is, it's not just men, but also women. We have a very we have a lot of pressure from the family to do what we're told. We don't really, a lot of people don't really choose their paths. And I'm no different. I do programming, but it's not my purpose. I think, like it's not something that lights me up. And I've been quite stuck with that, mostly because, like I've been because I don't want to go back to India. I've been living in Berlin, and I think a future in Europe or Berlin or in the West for me is much better because I don't see a great future for me in India, especially in terms of the society. So basically, I've been doing this. What really lights me up is I'm a painter, but I'm quite detached from that. I do paint once in a while, but yeah, I couldn't really do a lot of resistance to this upbringing, I would say, and this has been my experience.
Interesting. Yeah, I think this is quite interesting from the mental health point of view as well, because there's dangers on both sides, both having kind of too much choice and not having any choice when it comes to your life is yeah, it's problematic. And you could read like both of those sets of texts in terms of, hey, the mental health problems that men are having is because society is choosing for them what they're meant to be like. They're meant to be on one set of text complains that they're meant to be too feminine, and this is causing the mental health problems. The other set of text is complaining that they're meant to be too, traditionally masculine, and that is causing the problems. But the common thing is people are telling you what you're meant to be, and this is causing the problems. And you're kind of like you're trying to fit in and all that, and that is why people have those mental health problems. And I think that there is something to it, perhaps. But it's really interesting how you kind of can't get it right? Because there's also so much research that shows that choice fatigue is a real thing, and that people get mental health problems because they are crushed by the responsibility of having to build their own life. And I know, Max, that you were saying that you're a fan of Sartre and all of that, and this is, what existentialism is built on, right? The fact that you are meant to be the creator of your own meaning in life and all of this. But it's hard work. And, being the same way as you're in a supermarket and there is a whole massive aisle of different apple juices, and you're just like, but have I chosen the best one? So you can be in your life and you go like, but have I chosen the best life? Have I chosen the best way of, and, Ramiz, you're saying like your family has chosen maybe a career for you or has pushed you in a certain direction. And you might also go like, well, was this the right direction for me? But then I think there's something, I don't know which one is better, which one is worse, but there's something very different about the kind of frustration of I didn't get to choose, and then the frustration of I've chosen, but have I chosen well? Because there's so many other options that I could have chosen, and maybe it would have been better if I did that rather than this. I think this is a completely separate issue as well, which kind of transcends both of those sets of texts, but it's kind of embedded in them as well, of, do those mental health issues come from choosing too much or not having the choice?
I think there's something to be said for choice, or something around agency and dignity as well, because in my particular case, my parents are narcissistic as well, and I really couldn't put up any sort of defense. My defense was silence, and conformity. And I think that profoundly influenced my masculinity, I would say. And it's something that I've been trying to redefine. What is it even? Because, from my point of view, my internal understanding of what masculinity is was completely shattered. I'm sort of trying to rebuild it, and that's been my journey. So from a lack of choice, the result was that I don't even know what my role is, not just as a man, but as a human. But I'm trying to rebuild that through maybe trying to figure out masculinity, let's say, Yeah.
Max, any thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was really inspired by what you just said, Ramis. Thanks for sharing your story. Also, that because of you have a different background than myself, it's very worthy, or is it the right word?
Worthwhile,
To,
yeah,
to,
definitely.
to, huh?
Worthwhile, I think you mean.
Worthwhile, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very worthwhile for me, the enlightenment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you framed it very beautifully, Simon. That both having no choice and having too much choice is a problem. And interestingly, Warren Buffett said something like that. He said that he wants to inherit so much money to his children that they can do something with it, but but that they also can't do anything with it. Okay, maybe it was confusing. Like if you are inherited too much money,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
then you get spoiled, and you don't know what to do, and you become crazy. Like many millionaire kids or billionaire kids, they have terrible lives because they with age 16 they get the most expensive car. Like they don't know that the worth of working hard and then by being triumphant to finally reaching a goal after failing and failing and failing, and then finally reaching something and be successful. That's human condition too. We need to struggle. It's part of our fate. And so yeah, and coming back to concrete measures, yeah, because it's very tempting to just float around in philosophical spheres. I think that we need to offer boys realistic life plans, yeah, and this doesn't mean okay, there's 10 life plans and you can choose one of these 10 plans. No, it should be more flexible than that. But you give a rough ideas of what you can be, rough ideas of healthy masculinity or healthy humanity. I think that's it. And also doing biographical work. Like they are men and women we admire for a reason, like Nelson Mandela, yeah, or Stephen Hawking, or I don't know, or Angela Merkel. Like there are many admirable persons in history, and we should talk about why they are admirable, and also about the mistakes, because they have made terrible mistakes too, and what can every one of us learn from these biographies, and how we can incorporate these learnings from these people or these insights into our own lives. I think that's really something that's completely undervalued.
I would agree with this, and actually one of the biggest projects that I have with Pathforge is on trying to create narratives and which show those paths to finding this kind of meaning in life, also by highlighting the narratives that other people have actually lived, right? So that's just role models, right? People who have actually followed a certain path in life, because I think that so often there's this perception that there is no space for men anymore in this world that we're building. And I think this perception is wrong. I think there's plenty of space for men. There's plenty of space for courage and strength and protecting, providing, whatever else. And there's plenty of space for other things that are not traditionally tied with like this traditional vision of masculinity, but that men can perfectly well do. You know, caring and I don't know, a million other things, right? And I think that like showing people that here is a story of how someone has done it. You can do it too, right? And you can find a place for yourself in this brave new world that we're building, and it's going to be a good place. And you can do this. I think those things are extremely powerful, and I would very much like to do something like that with my organization as well. So thanks very much for your words on that as well. I think that This is right on point. I also liked something that both of you said, and you kind of mentioned it in passing, but I'm curious, I wanted to prod you about this a little bit more. Ramiz, you said that you're not sure what it is that you're meant to be as a man or as a human. And then Max, you were talking about masculinity or humanity. And I'm really curious about this because are we having a kind of like a crisis of purpose or crisis of meaning as men? Or are we just having this crisis as purpose of meaning as humans? Right? And is it just that kind of humans are becoming it's becoming difficult to be a human. It's not becoming difficult to be a man. It's becoming difficult to be a human. And then to what extent also the solutions that we should be looking for are less maybe about finding something that's so masculine and manly and all of this, and more something that gives us purpose as humans. Because what gives us purpose as humans doesn't need to have anything to do with traditional things like, strength, violence, or whatever else, right? It can do with, building a wonderful community, right? Providing for your friends, or like caring for your family and whatever else. These things are human things that can give us meaning. Ramiz?
In my personal experience, like my journey has led me to spirituality. I follow like what you're talking about, this finding an established path, from a narrative. I've been following a lot of spiritual masters like Eckhart Tolle and all of these people. I'm deriving inspiration from them. It doesn't necessarily have to be men, but it has been serving the purpose of giving me some sort of direction. Not a purpose, maybe not yet, but it has been very gender agnostic, I could say. For me, at least, I've just been following a path, and I don't know, like your point about what differentiates us from AI, dignity and honor. We are sentient beings, Max. That has been sort of driving me. The one purpose or like one driving factor for me is finding myself and how can I be through that of service to myself and others. This has been a sort of starting point for me, or like my current thing that's been going on. Yeah, that's my point basically.
Nice, thanks. And I think that finding this purpose also, like I like what you were saying about finding this purpose as a human as well. And I'm really curious what your journey to that will be, and if you have any like things that I don't know you're going to pursue.
Is that a question to me?
Yeah.
I mean, I've already started actively participating in meetups like these in the spiritual community. I started this traditional yoga course yesterday, going deeper into self-realization, meditation, and stuff like that. I don't think so. I do think there is a place for masculine and feminine, but maybe that's why I sort of latched on to the point of redefining what masculine and feminine means, because maybe what we have defined it as so far doesn't it doesn't serve us anymore. There's no place for that, but it is being redefined. And at a personal level as well, the reason why masculinity has been a struggle as a definition is because I'm also a queer man. So the traditional definition of a man being straight and like I don't know, there are all these definitions, and like I never saw myself as even naturally aligning to that. So for me, it's been another layer of another dimension of trying to find what masculinity means. Who am I as a man? And spirituality has somehow sort of loosened up these tighter definitions for me, so I can go into who I am more authentically, rather than trying to find some rigid definition. how I understand masculine and feminine is like masculine provides structure, logic, direction, builds a structure which the feminine follows later. You don't have to be a person you don't have to be two different people to embody that. You can have masculine and feminine within yourself. That's what balance means. So my goal is to find that balance within myself in a more authentic way.
Thanks for sharing. Nice. Max?
So yeah, two things. First, what you brought up, Simon, and then what Reese brought up. Yeah, I agree that we are observing both a crisis of humanity and a crisis of men and a crisis of women too. Yeah, but I think that like masculinity in man is more under attack than femininity in women. Yeah. So, but it's also under attack. Like a woman who says, "Yeah, I want to be a housewife and I want to have 3 kids," and I think it's amazing when that my husband makes all the money. They are also being like what is like ridiculed. Yeah. So not taken for serious, because a modern woman can do it all. She can make a career and make money and be an amazing mom, right? So there's also a women crisis, not only a man crisis, and what you said, Ramesh, was very interesting too, because you said, yeah, because you're a queer man, you never really identified with these traditional concepts of masculinity and femininity. And I think that's very interesting, because I have queer friends, and they tell me the same. And I'm not queer, I'm heterosexual, and this gave me a lot of pressure to be like a traditional man, because I knew that most women that I seek want this kind of man, like this alpha man, right? So that was this kind of life model, was kind of clear that somehow I have to fit in this pattern of an alpha male. At least that was what I thought for decades. Yeah, and it's different when you're queer, because you don't have to persuade a heterosexual woman that you are true man, right? Because as a queer man, you can be feminine, and then you have like a masculine like man, right, as a partner. So this is more fluid in queer people.
I'm glad that we're mentioning all of those other options as well. This is a good thing. But Ramiz, do you want to reply?
Yeah, because in my case, I'm not gay. I'm more bisexual. So I do feel the heterosexual pressure as well. The exact same thing that you have experienced. Like I don't know, most women want a heterosexual man, but I'm more, I don't know, more sensitive, more I don't know, caring. I embody some feminine qualities as well, and sometimes I feel like I'm somewhere in between, and it can be quite tricky to be in that situation as well.
I'm very glad that we brought this up as well, because I think that, exemplifying these are also the stories that we need, right? We're talking about having stories in which people can find themselves in this new world and can find a place for themselves. And I think it's really important that those stories are not prescriptive in how you're meant to be, but show like, yeah, you can be like this, you can be like that, you can be more queer, you can be more straight, you can be more, and that's okay. There is always like some sort of path to purpose and self-fulfillment and in life. And yeah, promoting these sort of stories is definitely, I think, a path forward. And maybe some of those stories should also involve, here is how you use your violent tendencies in agonistic way that is, really kind of constructive rather than destructive, right? And that's fine as well. All right. Well, thank you very much for this discussion. We're out of time. Do you guys have any parting thoughts that you wanted to share before we go out?
I just wanted to say thank you. So at some point I was quite hesitant to share my experiences, and you encouraged me to go forward. I mean, you have a valid point. this group should include the experience of the varied experiences of all sorts of people. I was hesitant because of my own inhibitions, and you gave space, or you opened up the space for that, and I'm really thankful for that.
I'm touched. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is exactly the kind of space that I would like to create. Thanks.
Yeah, I would like to thank both of you for being open and grounded and brave. Yeah, I think we had a good balance of female and masculine qualities and contributions, and yeah, it's amazing that you create this space, Simon. And yeah, I'm looking forward to new events in this format. And yeah, let's keep in touch and hope to see you again. And yeah, let's change the world. Let's change the world.
Fantastic. I like the spirit. Absolutely. So yeah, thanks very much, guys. I mean, this has been really interesting, and I will just kind of close off by saying, yeah, if you want to follow my work and follow Pathforge and various ways to see what it is that we're doing, and what we are trying to do to change the world as well, then please check out our website, and you can follow us on YouTube and on other social media. And we'd love to hear more from you, and those discussion groups are happening every month. So if you want to keep coming back and sharing your thoughts, that would be extremely welcome. And for now, thank you very much for your contributions. It's been a pleasure talking to you, gentlemen, and I'm looking forward to meeting you again in the future.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
See you.
Bye-bye.